Welcome back. Goodness me, I don't quite know what happened with that introduction. It's obviously a bit out of practice. But anyway, it's good to have you all back. We've had a fantastic day. We expected it to get a bit cloudy. We were actually expecting some rain, and it hasn't quite clouded up, but it has definitely got enough cloud cover that when it gets a bit darker, there's a good chance that it does rain over. Now, we're with this herd of elephant. It's a small herd of elephant. They're moving south, and it looks like they've been hanging around this thick bush area to get some shade. It's been a fairly warm day, nothing too hectic, and we've got this young female and her calf walking at the back of the group. She's just keeping a wary eye on me, and that's why I stopped the vehicle. Elephants you've always got to be very careful of. There are times when you get close to elephant. There are also times when you need to stay far away from them. And have a look at that sky. Isn't that just beautiful? The wind has been blowing the whole day, and we haven't really heard anything about what's going on in the bush today. It's been quiet. There's this expectancy that everybody's feeling at the moment, this sort of calm before the storm. And it's evident in these Ellies. I think it's the change of the season. Remember that this is a live show, which means you're watching this as it happens, but it is also an interactive show. And using Twitter and YouTube, you are welcome to ask me some questions, and we will answer them between myself and my colleagues, which are coming out of the Mara Triangle Game Reserve in Kenya, 3,500 miles north of here. We'll try and answer as many of your questions as what we can. Now, here's a young bull. He is probably associated to this herd, although it's tough to say. This time of the year, the Sabi Sands, which is where we are right now, in the Kruger National Park of South Africa, has an influx of elephant. They go from about 400 odd elephant to about 800 odd elephant in this 64,000 hectare reserve. And so it's difficult to say if this is just a teenager from this group in front of us, or whether or not he is a lone male. Anywhere from about 16 or 14 to about, or anywhere up to about 25 years old, I suppose, elephant bulls become nomadic, and they become loners. And they do this so that by the time they're around about 35 and are now sexually mature and are able to vie for the attentions of females, that they are hopefully far out of their natal home range, and therefore won't be able to mate with their moms and their sisters and their cousins. And just to one of Mother Nature's fantastic ways of preventing inbreeding. Let's go forward a little bit and have a look at him. I like seeing male elephant. We'll go back to these females in a bit. And trains, you'd like to know, is the first question of the day. What is the head of a herd of elephant called? Head of a herd of elephant called? It's called the matriarch, planes and trains. So the matriarch elephant is the oldest, fittest, wisest elephant cow in a group of elephants, and that's what it's called, the matriarch. Quite a nice name, hey? Hyenas also have matriarchs, and arguably I would say that lions also have matriarchs actually. Now, why don't we shoot you over to my colleagues far in the north, where it is going to be green and lush, for them to say hello, and Scott is going to be the first one to greet you.
Good afternoon, and it is a great pleasure to be the first to welcome you into the Masai Mara. It is a beautiful, hot and sunny afternoon. As you can see, the wildebeest are littering the plains. My name is Scott. I'm teamed up with Craig on camera, and we've got a whole bunch of friends that are joining us today. Look at all these flies, and I'm attempting to make friends with them, but it's tricky not to get the shivers. I think when they do a moonwalk, then you get that kind of a shiver. We're in the hope of finding some cheetah. We got reports of both the Musketeer Coalition as well as Malaika and her two boys being in this general area. So With a little bit of luck, we'll be able to find one of the two groups, and if we are very lucky, we'll be able to see those two different sets of cheetah converge. It would be a very, very interesting affair to witness. So that is our plan for this afternoon. Good prospects. They were seen probably about a mile apart from one another, but we are not sure exactly where they were left, and we are also not sure exactly what they've got up to since they were last seen by any tourist vehicles. So we haven't seen many vehicles out now, I'm guessing, because it's so hot. But hopefully some people will head out for the evening drive, some guys who had better intelligence as to their position in the morning, and once we see a few vehicles clustered together, we know that there's a possible sighting that we can go and cash in on. Or we may just bump into something random along the way. It's World Animal Day at some point this week, and our plan is to pick an animal every day. I'm not sure if Stef's already let you know, and today is the leopard. And that would be a very, very welcome surprise. I've only seen leopard on 2 occasions in the 3 months of being here, which is obviously very different to the amount of leopard sightings you get graced with down in Djuma, where Stef's busy cruising about. So we're kind of relying on him to find the leopard today. But in this little valley off to our right, there's lots of cover and a possible home for a leopard. Or who knows what other interesting beasts may grace us with their presence. Happy to see so many wildebeest still in this area. Even if I stop here, so we've driven a little bit from the last view you had, and let's just take another view out. The views here are quite spectacular. Look at those clouds as well. Beautiful. Hello to Sinak. You would like to know what has happened to the migration. Well, it has migrated, or at least begun migrating south into Tanzania. And they only spend about 3 or 4 months of the year in Kenya. The rest of the year they are south of the Kenyan border in Tanzania, in the Serengeti. So they're on their way out, but these guys are the lazy bones, bringing up the rear end of the herds. Some of them will remain, and it's impossible to say whether the wildebeest we're looking at now may decide to stay or go. But not all of them will leave, nor will all the zebra, nor will all the Thompson's gazelle, which apparently also migrate. We didn't see a huge influx this year. There's some Tommies in the background. So it's quite interesting. It would be nice to get to the bottom of it. Apparently when James was here last year, doing a few tests and getting some kind of stock footage, they did see Thompson's gazelle crossing the Mara River in September. So they were definitely later than the wildebeest and the zebra. But now we're into October, and we still haven't noticed any major difference. Spectacular views though. I hope you're enjoying. And you wouldn't believe it, but Stef has been doing an incredible job trying to track down a leopard for you, and I think he may just be a few moments away from that. So don't go anywhere. If you had any plans, cancel them if you'd like to see a leopard, because there is a strong chance that he has got one in his sights for you guys. And aren't we so lucky to be able to send you from the Masai Mara, viewing migrating herds of wildebeest, all the way down south to South Africa on Djuma to Mr. Winterboer with a leopard. Goodbye.
The whole of Djuma, and we came and had a look at it yesterday. It's a Scotia, but of course today is also another day, and today is World Animal Day, and we've decided to celebrate World Animal Day with leopard. And look what we've got lying underneath this tree right now. There you go. That is young Hosana. For those of you who don't know who Hosana is, it's a young male leopard, probably now about, don't quite know how old it is, probably about 16 to 18 months old, and fully independent of his mom. So he's a young adult, and he's just enjoying the late afternoon breeze on top of this termite mound and the shade of this giant old man that is the Scotia above him. And not a care in the world. And of course it had to be him that had to celebrate. World Animal Day with us. Just have a look at that camouflage on top of this termite mound. You know, there's not a stitch of vegetation on top there, and if you weren't carefully looking, you'd almost miss him for sure. Now we are parked about 30 yards away from him at the moment, and he doesn't have a worry. Fast asleep again. There was some elephant that were walking past him, and he lifted up his head to see what the elephant were doing, and that was how I spotted him. That very distinctive sort of clubbed profile of a leopard or a lion, or that a leopard and a lion has. Oh, he's looking good. This is the first time I'm seeing Hosana. Let me just think if it's the first time I've ever seen Hosana, actually. I want to say that this is the first time I'm seeing this particular leopard. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I may have seen Karula's cubs once, perhaps twice before, but I doubt it. I haven't taken a vehicle game drive in Djuma for a very, very long time. And of course, seeing leopard on foot is difficult. I think the last time I saw, actually haven't seen him, I did see him on foot once. It must be the second or third time I'm seeing him. I'm just trying to think back, which is incredible, actually. Very happy that he came out to celebrate with us today. Remember, this is an interactive show. Please ask us some questions. If you want to know a little bit more about leopard, or you've heard something, or you want to share a story from an encounter you had when you were visiting Africa, perhaps, or dreaming of leopards, please go right ahead. Use Twitter and YouTube. We'll monitor those questions and we'll answer those we can. Now, I see his paws are getting big as well. He's turning into a good-looking cat. Wow. Now, currently he's not sexually mature. That'll only happen from about 2.5 years old, and he'll only really be able to fight for females from about 5 to 7 years old. But at about 2.5 years old, he's going to start to antagonize the two dominant male leopard that hold sway over this area. Leopard territories are fluid like an amoeba, and it's their boundaries sort of ebb and flow with the seasons and with each leopard's condition. And there are two male leopard that hold sway over this area, a leopard called Tingana and another leopard called Mvula, both of which are not the youngest leopard anymore. I think they still got some pluck in them. One of which is his father, this particular leopard's father. And there's a very good chance at this point that he just inherits the area, this area from one of these big male leopards. It's a very fine line between when a leopard becomes too old to effectively patrol their territory, in particular from their son. And while under normal circumstances, this young leopard will be forced out and into a nomadic lifestyle for about 2.5 to 3 years, which gets them far away from their natal range. From time to time, as is the case now, a young male cub will be maturing and getting into their prime as their father is exiting theirs. And it's going to be quite interesting to see over the next couple of years exactly what that means. Next couple of months, in fact. Exactly what that means for young Hosana. Is he going to stick around? Is he not going to stick around? A year from now, are we still going to be seeing him? Will he start to actively defend a small territory of his own inside his father's and Mvula's territory? There's all these unknowns. Right now, the sunlight falling on his coat there, isn't that fantastic? Nice surprise. I'm glad you're all enjoying it. Louise, who's directing the show on this side today, says that everybody's commenting on the fact that it's so lovely to see him again. It is. Very nice. A grey cloud behind him with the sunlight on his shoulders is the herald of summer to come. Now, leopard will sleep during the day. They don't always sleep during the day, and that's because, unlike lion, which are we cooperatively hunt with each other, Leopard don't, and very similar to every other house cat or cat that you've ever taken any sort of notice of, they have moments when they'll sleep and do nothing, and they also have moments when they don't. And it all is related to him and a territory, or basically what type of how hungry he is, in other words. And doesn't look like he's too hungry, this guy. I actually just want to see if there's not a kill lying in this tree somewhere. Usually if you scan decently all the branches that sort of look like they can harbour a decent sized kill, we might be lucky to see something. You can see that his belly has got a slight bulge to it, and it's not because something's pushing it from underneath. He's actually got some food in there. Now, leopard at this age, although very skilled at hunting, and he would be living on a very wide range of things now, from lizards to eggs to fish, even birds, impala, steenbok, duiker. Not quite taking massive things just yet. That's in the realm of the older leopard, you know, things like buffalo calves and kudu and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see as well over the years to come what type of hunter he will become. What will he prefer to eat? Quite nice. All right, James Henry is waiting to say hello to you all, so I'm going to stay here with young Hosana and announce his presence on the radio, and James will say hello. We're going to cancel that because James's picture is gone, which is also not too much of a worry. These things happen when live. So as James is moving, of course, he's moving between trees and rocks and bushes and whatnot, and sometimes the signal gets cut off, and we managed to stop that. So we'll go to James's in a little bit, and leaves us some more time with this leopard. Now, going over to the activity periods, as he gets older, he'll get a character, and that character will be defined by his experiences, but it'll also be defined by his mother to a degree, and although it's not as clearly defined as in lion, my point is that lions in a pride will learn how to hunt something in their area, and they'll become very good at it, whether it's zebra or wildebeest or buffalo or even elephant in some cases. Leopard will learn some things from their mom, but the thing that they will specialize in eventually is experientially learnt. Some old male leopard will enjoy hunting aardvark, warthog. Some male leopard will learn how to hunt buffalo. Some male leopard, like male leopard called Quarantine from a few years ago, a distant brother to this one, learned how to hunt kudu and would hunt full-grown female kudu, many times bigger than what he is. ET bush lovers, you've asked me an interesting question. Is it possible to identify a leopard kill on the ground if it's not in the tree, and obviously if the leopard's not present? That's a good question, because in areas outside of the game reserves where leopards are a little bit less common and also smaller, they hunt a much more varied diet, and it's made up of smaller things. So quite often you'll find something under a bush, and it's quite difficult to tell which of the cats killed it. Now obviously tracks are one thing. You can distinguish a kill by using tracks of the animal, so that would be my first thing. Secondly is where the animal bit, where was the death bite? Across the throat is quite common for leopard to do, and caracal on the back of the head, caracal and cervical. Yeah, that is a good question. I would say that the only definitive answer would be the tracks. You'd need to find yourself a track and then decide whether it was a small leopard or a large caracal, in my opinion. And obviously leopard tracks are much bigger than what those other smaller cats are. Good question there. Now, how long will he lay on this termite mound for? He'll probably be here for the next couple of hours. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. It doesn't look like he's going to. Chandler, you'd like to know if leopards can recognize one another from their spot patterns. That's another good question. I would imagine so. In particular, mothers will be able to recognize children. Fathers would be able to recognize young leopard that grew up in their areas, whether they fathered them or not. And you can see that they approach one another quite cautiously, but they will look at one another, and I think they do recognize facial features, very similar to how we would. I don't think it's at the same level of detail. We've got a massive portion of our very big brains dedicated to studying the faces of other human beings, and I don't think it would be the same with leopard, but I definitely think they can recognize each other over distance, and I definitely also think that they'll be able to do it using spot patterns, although not to the same detail that we would use them. You know, the spot patterns above their whiskers which we use. But it would be more like an overall shape and size recognition. And when you see these animals for a long time, like a lot of our long-time viewers are even better than what we are at identifying leopard from a far distance away just by looking at their profile. And it's very similar, I would imagine, with these animals. All right, now we're going to be sending over to Brent, not James, this time, who'd like to say hello to you all.
Well, hello, and welcome to the absolutely magnificent Masai Mara. Manu and I are together this afternoon. My name is Brent Smith, and we're going to take you on an absolutely fantastic adventure. What are our plans? Now, let me tell you our plans. Our plans are to head a little bit towards the south and up towards the escarpment. I'm going to go see if that female cheetah that James was with yesterday might be a bit peckish. After that, as the sun starts to set, I'm going to head down towards that hippopotamus that Jamie had this morning with the lion and hyena. And who knows, there might be a bit of maniacal cackling and fighting over that carcass as it gets later on. It is, of course, right in the core of the clan lands, North Clan's territory. 80 plus hyenas versus one young male lion. Hopefully he gets some. So you literally have no idea what could happen next. So remember, hashtag Safari Live if you ask any questions. Now, of course, I'm not the only one out here. Let's go to the man on the other side of the river towards the south, nestled amongst one of my favourite parts of the whole Mara, the Sand River, James Henry, and let's see what eloquent words he can use to describe that area.
Hello and good morning. No, good afternoon. We find ourselves well far to the east of the Masai Mara. We're here probably about, I'd say 3/4 all the way to the east. And my name is James Henry. Fergus is on camera. There we go. And John is the Askari with us today. Please do talk to us during the course of today. Hashtag Safari Live or on the YouTube chat stream. It'll be wonderful to hear from you, have your questions and your comments. Now, I think this is one. As soon as you get far east where we are now, it becomes much more rolling countryside, and it's very lovely. We do have a few signal and communications difficulties here, but our aim this afternoon is to go and find some small cubs of the Black Rock Pride and see if we don't get very lucky there. If we don't, well, then we'll try and possibly sniff about the remnants of the migration. I did see one or two fairly large herds a little bit earlier, and we think, Fergus and I, that in fact is the Black Rock, on account of the fact that it is a rock, and it is... That's right, black. Well done. Good. So that's our plan today. And then before we go too far into the cat hunt, Judy H., I have a special thing for you. Unfortunately, can't see one around us. There are these lovely pale peachy coloured flowers. Let's go back a bit. There are lots around here. Stand by one. No idea what they are, but they're the most beautiful colour. Here they go. Fergus will find you one that looks nice on camera, won't you, Fergus? There seem to be annuals that have just popped out of the ground now. Look at that. It's almost like a daisy. Not the neatest flowers in the world, but you can appreciate why the colour is just so magnificent. It's like a sort of pale, cloudy dawn, really. So that's very lovely indeed. Alrighty, shall we go and see if we can find the Black Rock Pride? Wherever they may be. Hopefully not far from that black rock over there. I've just seen somebody coming from here. So maybe we'll be lucky. Chantal, you just keep checking on the comms because we may lose you as we go down this hill. Chantal is directing. Yeah, definitely losing her at the moment. Just going to change something here. No, not that. Try again, Chantal, if you wouldn't mind. Oh dear. No, we should be okay. Yeah, we got you pretty much 2 or 3 out of 5 to do for now. We should have good signal though, so when we find tiny baby lion cubbies, we should be able to show them to you, which is excellent. While we continue having a look around here, we are going to hand you back to Stef and Hosana. Obviously, you still have a few seconds to get there because, well, you know, Stef's a bit slower than us, which means that he's operating 20 minutes in the past, 20 seconds in the past, and so I will see you when we come back just now.
Back to this now. What I'd like to show you is, well, I'd like to prompt you to take a screenshot of this particular scotia growing on, or this particular weeping bourbein. It's also called a scotia, growing on top of this termite mound. I've also walked up to here thinking, oh, it would be fantastic to see a leopard here or in this tree, and it's just nice to see. Of course, Ellie has also mentioned from time to time that she would love to see a leopard on this termite mound or in this tree, and I'm going to take a screenshot and send it to her. Not quite the same, but almost. Well, we have changed position slightly just so that we could get you a better view of his face, basically, without a branch in the way. And Senzo will zoom in now so you can see a picture of this sleepy kitty cat. Isn't that just lovely? Flat profile, raised up above the bush, breeze blowing on him. Jared's buddy, you'd like to know if Hosana would recognize his sister, Shongile. Yes, absolutely. He'll recognize her from a distance away. They'll become less tolerant of one another. First, she of him. As she approaches 2.5 years of age, she begins to become sexually mature, and she will not tolerate the presence of a young immature male around her, even if it's her brother. And at that point, she's going to start to elicit the attentions of the 2 older males in this area, the Tingana and Mvula. And at this, I think that they still have a couple more cubs to father or to sire themselves. They're still very much very active male leopards in this particular area, with the 3rd being Djuma in this area as well, who's much older and bigger than young Hosana, but tends to be in a slightly different area. And so she'll get less tolerant of him, is basically my point, but she will absolutely recognize him, I think, and for a very long time as well. I don't think that they lose that ability. Ew, that is a beautiful animal. What's Stef? You've asked me if Tingana would share meals and territories with his offspring, because they're related, and because I suppose they share this bond. Male leopard, apart from siring cubs, have no further or nothing further to do with the gestation period, of course, but also of the rearing of those cubs. However, having said that, I'm of the opinion that leopard know where each other are to a point. I wouldn't say, GPS accurate, but to a point. And I think that male leopard, although you very rarely see adult male leopard with their offspring, it's not uncommon. We've seen young leopard sharing kills with older leopard before, and interactions between them as well. But I think that they keep tabs on what leopard are in and around, and of course the bush will be infused with their smell and their scent, and so I think they're a lot more aware of their offspring than what we give them credit for. But as for sharing kills and experiences with each other, once again, it's not uncommon for female leopard to stash kills and bring cubs to kills to help them out and augment their diets. Have I seen it with male leopard before? No. Is it feasible? Why not? It'll be a stronger bond between female and cub than it will be between male and cub. Does he recognize his offspring? Absolutely, in my opinion. Does he keep tabs on where his offspring is and how they're doing? In my opinion, absolutely. Therefore, is it unfeasible to think that he might at a point stash a kill and leave it to this young male? He wouldn't go fetch this young male onto a kill like a female would, but would he abandon a kill? I don't think abandon, but I definitely think that he would allow co-feeding on it. Yeah, interesting question, and I definitely think feasible. Granny, could Hosana and Tamba form a coalition with one another since they're so young? Just for the rest of our viewers who perhaps don't know who Tamba is a young male leopard to another female leopard in this area, in an adjacent but neighboring leopard territory. And the question is, would these cats form an alliance when there's no blood relation? There is, of course, they share the same mother. Tamba's mother is this young leopard's mother, or Tamba's grandmother is this leopard's mother, basically. And so there is a blood tie there. Wow, would they form a coalition with one another? I'm going to say no to that. The reason being is that male leopard don't form coalitions. They're just genetically programmed the same as every other solitary cat around, with the exception of lion, to be solitary. And I think that they would choose a solitary lifestyle over a coalition every time. The only cats to display coalition activity or coalition behavior are lions, and they are unique. The only reason why they have formed coalitions with one another is to bring down and be able to hunt large-boned herbivores in an effort to stratify themselves out of the competition between other cat species or solitary cat species. And I think that is a genetic adaptation or an evolution rather than something that is normally occurring in these cats. So I'd say no to that question, but a good question nonetheless. I mean, from our point of view, why not? I mean, they could help one another. They could bring down food together. They could keep one another safe. Nice question. All right, we're going to need to update the radio now, as I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people wanting to come and see what is happening over here. So we're going to send you over to Scott, who's just driving around, and we're going to jump onto our sighting admin.
Wow, that would certainly be interesting if male leopards did form coalitions. Sadly, it is not the case. It would be very nice if they did. Got a bit of a crime scene that we've spotted here. A whole bunch of vultures and Marabou storks. A seriously big bunch of vultures, actually. So we're going to go and take a quick look, see what all the fuss is about. And who knows, maybe it was the cheetah that we're looking for that made this kill a little bit earlier. It's going to be tricky to tell, but at least we are in the area of some kind of predator, one would assume. Having said that though, the animal may have died of natural causes. That does happen from time to time. Look at all these vultures. Crazy. All sorts dotted in there, lappet-faced, white-backed. I'm sure there's some Cape Griffin vultures as well. The Marabou storks. And all of the birds you can see, well, a lot of them are holding their beaks open, panting like a very warm afternoon. That coupled together with the fact that they are full-bellied from whatever they've been nibbling on there means that they are all trying to keep cool. Thankfully a cloud has just come over though, so that should help them. Let's see if we can take a close look at what they're nibbling on there, Craig. The ones on the right seem to be squabbling. It's a wildebeest. No surprises there. Oh, look, at one's feeding straight into its mouth. Isn't that interesting? Oh, that was so cool. These ones coming, taking off towards us. Oh, now, if we'll get lucky, we'll see them start squabbling with one another. Ah, awesome. Well, we are in pole position here. Seems like the runway is towards us. They must be flying, taking off into the wind. That will assist their takeoff. Not that there's much of a breeze. And I would guess a lot of them would have eaten their full and are now heading off to somewhere to roost for the evening. What I found interesting is that the Mara vultures, when they are full-bellied, they lie down on the floor like chickens incubating an egg. And I'd never seen that before, but I guess because it's so open here, they can afford to. One's kind of doing it there. Oh, look at that lappet-faced, showing itself, showing the other ones how big and strong it is. Oh, that was cool. And, oh, there's also a hooded vulture. So there's all three different types. Just to the right of the lappet-faced there, Craig, if you just zoom in, there's one with a much smaller head, just to the right of the one with the big head on the left of your screen. So that's the smallest of the vultures next to the biggest. There's another hooded vulture with a pink head. That's popped in. Looks like a miniature lappet-faced. And they all have their different role on finishing up the carcasses. The ones with the big beaks obviously do the bulk of the feeding, opening up the things that are tricky. Let's go hard left here, Craig, quickly. Just want to see what's going on there. There's a piglet running for its life. Look at that! Now, I'm not sure why the piglet and its mother are heading off so quickly. So I'm just going to take a bit of a scan around. I mean, there's lots of Thompson's gazelle that seemed very relaxed in the area, so maybe it's just a nervous mother. I was expecting to see a cheetah tearing after them at one point. There was actually a Thompson's gazelle kind of running behind that piglet, and I thought it may have been a cheetah. Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little vulture restaurant extravaganza as much as I'm enjoying the flies this afternoon. You also now have the joy of going to James, who's found some other tiny creatures.
Look at this, everybody. I have never, ever seen anything like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little cubs. Now, I just need to find out, are we live on Facebook? I just don't want to do the introduction too many times. Look at this. Hello everybody who's just joined us on whatever platform you happen to be on. We've just come across the Black Rock Pride here. They're sitting with 7, it looks like, little cubs. They've just come out of the rocks over here. There are 2 lionesses, only one of them doing the feeding at the moment. My name's James Henry and we're going to sit with these cubs for a little while and see what happens. The other lioness is now coming up to help, I think, with a bit of the mothering. And I have never seen a collection of cubs this young and this numerous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. We're just going to let them get a little bit more comfortable with us, and then I'm going to move forward. She's just got up and called them out from the rocks where they were hiding. Now the other lioness is also calling a little bit. Here she comes. She's going to come past us now. I'm just going to talk quietly. Both lionesses obviously lactating. Both lionesses obviously hungry. Look at this little reunion that's going to take place between mother and child here. Look at this. Liz, you say amazing. Yes, it is just astonishing. I've been in the bush now for nigh on 15 years. I've never seen 9 little cubs like this. Is that not too gorgeous for words? Please send us your questions or comments like Liz was doing. You can do it in the comments section of whatever platform you're using. Folks, shall I just try and move around a bit there? Robin, I'm afraid I missed your question. I'm just going to nip around here. This is just absolutely astounding. Oh no, I have to agree with you, Robin. You say nothing more precious than lion cubs. I've never seen a scene like this. I'm really quite gobsmacked by it. Is that right, folk? We're just going to talk quite quietly. Obviously the sound of the vehicle is much louder than the sound of my voice, but of course they have seen vehicles before. Now, I don't think that all of these 9 cubs came from these 2 lionesses. There is another lioness of the Black Rock Pride, so named of course for the black rocks that you can see all around us. How old they are, I couldn't begin. Well, I could tell you that I think they are between, I would say, 5 weeks, maybe 6, up to about 2 months. They've all given birth at much the same time. And what that speaks to is some kind of a pride takeover where males came into the area, killed the cubs that were here, and then mated with these females at the same time. And that's created the situation where this enormous nursery of 9 magnificent little lions. Alright, I don't even know where to look here. You're looking at ones playing with sticks. I'm looking at some others having a play around some other sticks. There are some suckling. There are others just kind of lying about the place. But we've just arrived at exactly the most perfect time, because I think they're going to start their evening playtime, which is just the best. Now this is just too magnificent. Now, in case you're wondering, we are in the Masai Mara in, of course, Kenya, southwest Kenya, and the important thing to note here is that I'm not sure these lionesses have given birth quite at the right time. Obviously they can't control that, but the mass of the Wildebeest migration has moved to the south. There is one biggish herd quite a long way to the north of us, and so these lionesses, while not certainly they're not bereft of opportunities for prey, what they're going to do is just struggle a little bit more than they would have when the migration herds were here. But these cubs all look very healthy and very happy. Why wouldn't they? They live in one of the world's most beautiful places. Riti, you say they're eating the grass. No, I think they're just chewing it, Riti. I don't think they're eating it at all. I think they're just playing. I don't think they're eating the grass. This is just beyond magic. You almost can't conceive of it. Alright, if you want to keep watching this, everyone, just come to wildsafariLive.com. We're going to sit here for the whole afternoon. If something more astounding happens here, then absolutely we'll come back live on Facebook. So stay with us. Are we still on air with the normal safari group, our loyal friends and followers? There you are. Hello everybody, still with us. Is this not very special indeed? Are you not so amazed by the things you are seeing here? A carpet of 9 cubs stomping all over their mothers. And, well, obviously one of them, I think, is an aunt, unless, yeah, I mean, look, it's highly unlikely that one gave birth to 5 and one gave birth to 4. And now, nature's greatest sound starts, that of squabbling lion cubs. It's certainly one of my favourites. You know, I haven't had an experience like this. Well, I've never had an experience of 9 little lion cubs like this. But my last cub experience that vaguely approached this was when the Nkuhumas, it must have been 18 months ago, produced those 3 what I referred to as teddies. We are so lucky here. Brent mentioned them. He said, look, go and have a look. I'm not, you know, he was pretty confident that we'd find them, but I didn't know. I've never been into this area, and here they are. Just so special. Now, to see 9 little lion cubs like this is the same, more than 4 weeks apart from each other, is even more unusual. And to have them almost completely to ourselves is utterly spectacularly privileged. Alrighty, we're going to hand you back over to Djuma now. Apparently, Hosana is stalking one of his most favourite meals in the world. I'm assuming we still have about 12 seconds to go until we get there. And so I hope that Hosana, while we wait with these cubs, catches his monitor lizard.
Hello everybody, we've got something unusual happening here. We've got a young male leopard, and it seems like he has managed to separate 2 mating monitor lizards, or legavans. They're the largest lizard species that we get here. And what's happened, I think, is that this leopard's been a bit confounded with which one to choose. The larger one, in my opinion, he's left alone, and he's going for a smaller one. And monitor lizards, hello and welcome to this. It's a young leopard live from Djuma Private Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sands. We have got a leopard hunting some monitor lizards with us just off here. My name is Stef and this is a leopard that we've been following from pretty much since they were born. And we can't wait to see what he wants to do. Just finished hunting now. Isn't that just amazing? The monitor lizards are all over the place. There we go. There's the monitor lizard. large lizard, several feet long. This particular one is probably in the region of about 6 or 7 foot long. This leopard looks like it's lost some interest now though, which is unusual. Usually they wouldn't hesitate to kill monitor lizards like this. They form a very large portion of their diet. It looks like he's busy stalking something else. Could there be a third monitor lizard here? Quite possible actually, and the reason for that is that a female monitor lizard that is being attended by a couple of males will elicit the attentions of a few males, and that will be enticing for this young leopard. The fact that this leopard has been unable to make the kill, I think, is just literally because there's too much going on here with regards to these youngs. He's going to make a pounce. Come on. It looks like this leopard's going to pounce. There we go. Come on, jump. You can see that that's setting up. It's very similar to other cats that you've seen. There's something in that bush. Now don't worry about the noise of crashing around us. It's not elephants, just another vehicle. Right now we're coming to you live from the Kruger National Park, which is in South Africa, the western side of South Africa. We're about in the center of the Kruger National Park on its western border. And we've got a young male leopard here, probably between 16 or 18 months old, and independent already, hunting what I think is a trio of monitor lizards. I think the reason why this leopard is hunting these monitor lizards is because there's a female monitor lizard who is needing her eggs fertilized, and there's a couple of males that are responding to the pheromones that she's letting out. Just have a look at how camouflaged these animals are. Isn't it just amazing? There's the monitor lizard. There's one there. The largest lizard that we find out here. I don't know what. Now, in the comment section of what you're watching right now, there is the ability to ask us questions. We are live and interactive at the moment, so feel free to ask me a question and we'll answer as many as what we can. Or even just leave a comment about what you're seeing. Is this the first live leopard hunt that you've ever watched in your life? Now that very intent gaze. I'll see if I can get us into a slightly... Zara, you're saying that lizard looks so scary. I must agree with you there, Zara. Excuse my bald head, that's also a bit scary. But let's go forward a little bit, give us a bit of a better view of the leopard, but also of this monitor lizard. I don't quite know what to prompt us to look at the moment. It's a lot of action going on. That's a white-throated monitor. Still very upset with the fact that it's being hunted. You can see that the throat is all puffed up, but trying to make some distance. You can see they're blowing his throat up. I think he's had his ego a bit dented by this leopard. He's lucky not to have become dinner. It's about a 6-foot lizard, that. Maybe a bit shorter than that. Let's go back to that leopard quickly and see what's going on. There's just such an... Betty, you'd like to know if the leopard would eat the eggs or the lizard. That's a good question, Betty. You know, knowing leopard have quite a varied diet, I think that the leopard would eat everything. If it could have killed this lizard, it would have. And it would have eaten its eggs. Now the eggs are still... There we go. Ooh. Not quite. That was a rabbit. A young rabbit. Oh, that leopard, did you see that? I'm hoping that we got all that. Awesome. I don't think that leopard caught that young... There's a scrub here. I don't think that leopard caught it, because we would have heard a giant squealing if it did. But wasn't that amazing? See the live leopard hunt, I suppose. There we have. Now that leopard has run away into some thick, monstrously thick bush. Let's hope we can get one more view of this young leopard. I don't think so. It's going to be a very difficult thing to get inside there. Wow. Let's see if we can change our view a little bit. Let's see if we can't pick out what that young leopard was looking at. See where this leopard has disappeared into this bush. And it's probably just massaging a broken ego at the moment, to be quite honest with you. I think it is gone. Alright, well, that was that, I think, for this particular leopard hunt. We will catch you again on another one of these live and broadcasts. See you all soon. You. Thank you. Alright, sorry about that, everybody. I'm still getting used to these live broadcast things from the middle of a show. So, I hope you'd excuse me with a couple of the mistakes I made there. Now, what we want to try and do and see if we can see where this leopard disappeared to. I think it is going to be difficult. But what I will do is stick around a little bit more, and just to see if he comes out from behind here. So we're going to stick around a little bit more, and we're going to send you over to James, who's found some lion cubs to show you.
Oh, we're still here, and they are just behaving in a more and more magnificently adorable fashion the longer we sit here. They've come up onto this rock to have a little bit of a drink of water. There's a puddle in here, perfectly framed with green vegetation, and the lions are now playing with each other's tails, with their mother's tails. They're having a little bit of a suckle here and there. One or two have had a small swim, and the mothers, ever patient, are sitting on the rock, wondering how it is that their youth has come to this rather, shall we say, stressful time of looking after 9 gorgeous little cubs. It really is difficult to know where to look. I cannot believe how lucky we've been. Thank you to Brent, of course, for suggesting we come down here. Just wonderful stuff. So their story will be difficult and interesting to not difficult, but it'll be interesting to watch unfold, because we made quite a meal of the fact, I think, that when the migration is not here, these lions struggle, that there is some dearth of things for them to eat when the migration has disappeared. I personally am not sure that that's true. I think that there's a lot left here. But if ever there was going to be a way to find out if the lions struggled without their look at that mother there, that's a young male, you can see. If ever there was a way to find out how much these lions do struggle in the absence of the big migration herds, well, this is going to be that opportunity, because to raise all 9 of this lot is going to be no mean feat at all. What we got there, Ferg? Oh, a carcass, yes. As Fergus is pointing out, they seem to be killing fairly successfully. Now, what is that, do you think? A boof? So that's a buffalo. And it's certainly not a migrating animal, so they're obviously killing and around here. Now, silly cow, I'm not being facetious or nasty, everybody, that is the name that somebody has given themselves on Twitter. You want to know if the cubs will have a closer bond, having been born around the same time? Absolutely they will. And they will share share all their life experiences together, and that will absolutely make them closer. And certainly the males in this group, of the 9 cubs, there might probably potentially 4 males, 4 or 5 males, maybe even more, they'll almost certainly leave the pride when they do leave as a coalition, if they all survive, of course, to the point that they do leave, which will be at about 3 years or so. And the females will remain in the same pride, and I'm sure that they will have a closer bond as a result of the fact that they were born at such a similar time. No, I mean, this is just too frighteningly wonderful. His mum giving a little bit of discipline there, along with licks, a number of bites. I mean, those teeth are terrifying. We were watching the 2 lionesses before you came to see these little cubs, and they were just being so affectionate with each other, and it's so impossible to imagine when you see them behaving in such a sort of house cattish manner that they could be these terrifying killers. But that changes in a second when you hear them growl or you see them open their mouths. While you're looking at that one there, and I don't think you should look at anything else, the other lioness who's lying on the rocks got 3 or 4 cubs jumping on her. I mean, it really is, it's very special, this tail being played with. There's definitely going to be trouble here. Yeah, Rita, you say the lioness looks exhausted. I often think they do, but you know, I often think that that's our human perspective being put onto them. I'm sure they do get tired having all these cubs around, but remember, they're unable to show any facial expression other than anger when they lift their or snarl or when they put their ears back. So when they're just sitting but normally with their mouths closed and their ears forward, we don't know if they're tired or hungry or sad or what they are. But I think that the thought of, we know how difficult one human child is to sort of raise. The thought of 9 is just almost impossible to contemplate, and I think that makes it almost tiring to watch 9 youngsters being raised by just 2 mums. Certainly, I have 2 nephews, and they've given their parents more than more than their fair share of sleepless nights. I can just imagine my brother and sister-in-law trying to raise 9 Jack and Williams, and it'd be an absolute nightmare. Look at the sun coming out on them now. They're talking all the time. Oh. We are seriously lucky people. And the little squeaks and squeals. Now I believe that Hosana is behaving in a manner very patient, of course, but I would have thought that given the heat of the day and the, well, I'm sure he's quite hungry, and the prey that he's going for, that he would have done it by now. Well, let's go and find if he does manage to do it now.
Welcome back, everybody. This young male leopard has come from inside the bush and come back out again, and is lying very close to his monitor lizard, and I think the female. And you can just see this. You can just see this leopard is lying in attendance with this thing. I think it went after the easier prey, and is now just lying up, or after the easier prey in terms of the rabbit that it chased and missed, but now hello and welcome everybody to this live broadcast from Djuma Private Game Reserve here in the Kruger National Park. This young male leopard has been hunting just next to our cars, between 16 and 18 months old, just missed a rabbit, and now has started to hunt a monitor lizard. That is a monitor lizard. And although it doesn't look like much, it's one of the largest lizards that we find in this area. My name is Stef and we've been following this young male leopard since he was born, basically. And it's just such a pleasure to sit so close to this leopard in the open like we are and bring it to you live all the way from the Kruger National Park in South Africa. Don't forget, you can ask us questions, and please do, using the question bar. And big yawn on this cat, oxygenating his blood, not wanting to let this lizard out of his sight. It's a young leopard, and they'll pretty much take whatever they can at the moment. Doesn't look like he's interested in killing it, but these lizards definitely don't go down without a fight. As you can see, puffed up throat and puffed up body, tail curled for a whip-like motion. And they're lying down. Isn't that amazing? Now, these leopard are so relaxed with us because we don't... Oh, look at this. Let's see. These leopard are so relaxed with us because pretty much since they were born, we've had a very uniform... we've had a very, very... standardized approach with how we deal with these cats, and we're always very respectful about their space. Now, Pippa Moorman, all the way from Hoedspruit in South Africa, has just said, hello Pippa, good to see you, or good to hear from you. What this young male leopard is doing is stretching out the tendons in the claws. It's as much a display of its insecurity as anything else. I think that this lizard is giving this leopard pause for concern. These lizards bite incredibly hard. They've also got raking claws that can do some damage. However, I don't think it would do much damage to this particular cat at all. And now just leaving it, in actual fact, and walking away. I'll tell you, they have larger brains than what lion do, and a cat that's about a quarter of the size. And that leads them to have characters, and they develop characters as they get a little bit older, personalities, they learn from experiences. And why this leopard just missed and left this monitor lizard, who knows? Search of easier prey, perhaps. What are you looking at now? Something else is... Fad, you just asked what leopard this is. This is a Hosana. Hosana is about an 18-month-year-old leopard, or 18-month leopard. It was born right here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, and we've been following the life of this cat whenever we can see them. Newly independent, been on his own now for a couple of months, and is quite capable of killing animals right up to the size of impala, all on his own. The moment something has his attention. Now, being, let's call it sub-adult, although he is independent, means that they have quite short attention spans, and things like movement in these thickets will definitely grab this leopard's attention. And you can just see how wonderful that camouflage is. The moment, the only thing that you can really see is the flicker of the tail. And that is standing in open bush. There's only two scraggly little branches between us and that leopard, and already the edges of that cat blend in so well with the bush behind it. This is our dry season in the Kruger National Park. Ooh, there's something walking there. That is a grey duiker. It's an antelope right in the prey size. We're going to see a live hunt, everybody. This is a hunt. What are you doing, youngster? You're of course going to go out of our view right now. Here we go, up on the side of a termite mound. Going to use the cover on top of the bush. What are you going to do? Stalking. They ambush specialists, getting within 5 to 10 meters of prey before pouncing. Let's see what's going to happen right now. We can't move from where we are. This bush is too thick for us to get through. We're going to have to just take it as it comes now, and hopefully Lady Luck smiles on us and we can see most of this hunt. This leopard using the cover that it has, and has just disappeared over the side of that termite mound now. I'm going to use my ears now and hopefully we can hear the kill taking place and we can get into that tight bush to see. There we go, out the back, I can just see his head sticking out the side. Look how low they can go. Dead quiet, but that flicker of the tail, that is quite often what spoils a hunt. Young leopard, tail flicking and agitation and just that lack of confidence. They'll learn how to become deathly quiet. Okay, watch that tail, there he goes. Are we going to see the sprint? Oh, hidden behind the bush, no! I can just see the coat moving there. We're going to listen now. Let's see if we can hear a kill take place. We're not going to go crashing through there. We might disturb that particular hunt. And what we don't want to do is steal food from a young male leopard. They need every protein, calorie that they can get. Isn't this exciting? Waiting now in anticipation, waiting. See if we can hear the rush of the body, the takedown, and unfortunately the death cry of their prey. Everything's dead quiet right now. And so are we. Leopard will very often stalk to a very short distance. They'll use whatever cover they can, and then they'll crouch down and wait for the prey to come to them. Run after it of a very, there we go, coming towards us. So I just watched the little Dacre run away. It has escaped. So no dinner that easy for this leopard. I have a feeling this leopard's going to come straight back to us and carry on looking after his monitor lizard. Let's see what happens. Alright, and that is over for that particular hunt. So from this particular live broadcast, we're going to be saying goodbye to you. Remember, you can watch us on wildsafariLive.com and see you soon. Wasn't that exciting? Please excuse me again on that. I must be honest, trying to do these unscheduled broadcasts from inside a scheduled broadcast is quite special. Right, so I actually think what's going to happen is this leopard is going to come back here and come straight back to this monitor lizard, but we're going to wait for him to stroke his ego a little bit over there, and then we'll come, well, if he comes back, we'll call you back. In the meantime, Scott's got something very exciting happening in the Mara.
Hello everyone, good to have you back, albeit surprisingly quickly. And apologies for the small technical glitch there. We've just left Malaika and her two boys, a family of cheetah, behind us. They're full bellied. They apparently killed a wildebeest yesterday evening and they're still looking quite uncomfortably full. So we've headed off to see if we can't work out where these 5 males could be, the Musketeer Coalition, because we have heard mixed reports that they could be here, they could be there. So either way, the only way we're going to have a chance of finding them is by driving around and searching. So that's our plans. It sounds like you've been having a wonderful time with Stef and Hosana. Looking forward to having a look at that monitor lizard interaction a bit later. It's turning out to be a beautiful evening. It's cooled off now, thankfully. When we headed out earlier this afternoon, it was quite warm. So enjoying the cool relief of the clouds. Very, very marvelous. It's quite interesting. We're getting to a point now where or at least I am, having spent 3 months, a lot of which in this general area of the reserve, or of the whole Mara, and it's quite nice slowly getting to know the areas. I remember the Musketeer Coalition early one morning climbing up that tree over to our right there, the one at kind of between 2 and 3 o'clock, and doing some scent marking. That was just after we had some beautiful silhouetted views of them. Some of you may have seen my photographs of that. So quite nice to get to know the area, and by getting to know the area, it's going to increase our chances of being able to find you guys animals, because now I know even if the males, I don't know their exact whereabouts, I know a few of their kind of routes that they like to use. So I'm going to explore a few of those routes that I've seen them travel on before, and while we do that, we are going to send you traveling across to James.
Here we are, still with our cubbies. We're not going anywhere from them. We won't be shining a light on them. We don't have to. We've got infrared light here. So I don't think we're going to leave here for the next 3 days. I mean, I don't obviously mean that, but we're definitely going to come back here and check on them over the course of the next 3 days or so, because this is just too magical. There's a bit of feeding going on. There's a lot of playing going on. There are a lot of flies around, most of which are going to die fairly shortly at my end. I'm just trying to sex them and see what genders we have here. I mean, it's very difficult at this age, but it is possible when they lift their tails for long enough. We've definitely got at least one male. I mean, the ratio should be 4 or 5 of one or the other. And the reason I think that there might be, normally of course lion cubs introduce the pride at about 6 months. Not 6 months, 6 weeks. The reason I think they're a bit younger here is that this is the actual den site. And this is where their mothers gave birth to them apparently. So I think we've been very lucky to catch them at this age. And I think Brent saw them, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before. So I mean, he's seen them even smaller than this. And just such a privilege to be able to come and watch them at this age. It's not often that we get to sit with lion cubs of this age, and we've also been granted very special privilege, courtesy of the Masai Mara National Reserve, to come and view them when nobody else is actually allowed to. Oh, and as the light comes out, the whole thing becomes that much more beautiful, if it could possibly. Such a quiet, peaceful atmosphere. Nikki, you want to know if males ever leave the females or females ever leave the males because of close bonds? I'm not really sure what you mean there, other than to say, brothers or males will leave the pride, we think, in order to reduce the chances of inbreeding. So, I mean, cats can inbreed and do it without any harm, up to apparently about 6 generations. I'm not sure how often that's been worked out or how often it's been tried. But it is absolutely possible. And so what you have here is a situation where, yes, let's say there are 4 males here and 5 females. If the 4 males grow up to be sort of 3 years old, they will start to show amorous intent, shall we say, to their sisters and to their mothers and aunts. And it's at that point that the males will chase them out. Not because the males necessarily have any insight into the trials and tribulations of incest, but because they don't want to have the competition. And so that's how Lion Society has made things work. And with the leopards, for example, males normally disperse quite a long way from their mother's territories. Ferg, the one stalking up now, has got himself covered in mud. He's obviously quite adventurous. He or she. Look at the stalking already at this age. Sean, you're wondering if lions protect each other during the birthing process. So, you know, when these lionesses were giving birth, were the others standing around in protection? Almost certainly not. They are not the most, you know, although they're tremendously affectionate with each other sometimes, they do not look after each other in anything like the same way that wild dogs or wolves would look after each other. So, you know, if one was giving birth and a big marauding male lion or massive clan of hyenas came bungling in, yeah, you know, they would defend it they would defend her to the same extent that they might defend a kill. So it wouldn't be, not to the extent of injuring themselves, and there wouldn't have been anybody sort of sitting guard while she gave birth. Yeah, I've spotted at least 2 males now. Those two, yes, that you're watching there are males, I think. This is just great stuff. I'm not sure why the one poor mother is being attacked so much more than the other, but when we found them, it looked to me quite a lot like one lioness had much more swollen teats than the other, and I wonder if she isn't lactating more and therefore having to bear the brunt of the suckling duties. Listen to them complaining. I wonder where the other lioness is. Maybe she's gone off hunting. These cubs are too young to go to a kill now, so when the lionesses leave, they will go off back into... I've never seen a lion suckling like that, like a little impala. When the lionesses leave, the cubs will go back into the hole in the rocks here. We've got a Cape turtle dove in the background, or ring-necked dove calling. Bit of wind blowing. The wind very seldom stops for any length of time in this area. And as I said during our recent TV show, the smell, sort of half goat and half cattle, that used to sort of fill the air has now dissipated. And it's been replaced by a smell of the grass, which of course is one of my very favourite smells. Nikki, you want to know if the mothers show bias to the male cubs? No, I don't think they do at all. I don't think they show bias to any of the cubs. I don't think they don't even show bias to their own cubs over those of, of their siblings. So these 2 lionesses are most likely, if they're not cousins, if they're not sisters, they're certainly cousins. They'll cross-suckle each other's cubs, and I don't believe that they show favoritism to any of them. And I'm not even convinced that they know after a certain period which ones are theirs and which ones aren't. That said, of course, they can recognize their individual calls when they're adults, so I don't know what the story is as far as as far as them being able to recognize their own cubs is. But because they cross-suckle, I suspect that they don't really differentiate. The colours keep changing here, of course, because the light keeps going behind a cloud and then back out again. And mercifully, Fergus and I have stayed out of the rain today, haven't we, Fergus? Had one very brief little drizzle very early on, but we seem to have escaped it for now, which is great news indeed. And I believe that Hosana has managed to escape out of whatever thicket that he was stalking his duiker in, and I'm hoping that he will possibly go on the stalk again, perhaps as it gets a little bit darker, but Stefan Winterboer, the mystic boer, will tell you all about that now.
Welcome back, everyone, and we've managed to find and relocate this leopard with Aubrey's help. He missed his kill and is now just relaxing on the bank of this drainage line, about 100 yards or so from us. And there's a lot of elephant in this area, and I think he's just busy making sure he doesn't get caught in a position where he can't get himself out of. Very relaxed at the moment, I think, with the exception of just having a bit of a bruised ego for missing dinner. Oh, he is in good condition there. Wow. Loving the fact that he's so active. He's left those monitor lizards that he was hunting, but still very alert to what's going on in his surroundings. These Ellies are going to have an effect on clearing the bush out in front of them. So any little antelope that's around, or any morsel, these elephants will flush out of the bushes, and hopefully into the waiting mouth. I think it's quite nice following around elephant for leopard. You see it quite often in leopard, following around large boned herbivores, elephant in particular, buffalo, sometimes rhino as well. You can see watching just past us, lots of Ellies around. Elena, who's only 14 years old, has asked a nice question. Is the skin underneath the coat of a leopard the same rosette pattern? Not that I've ever seen, Elena. I've seen a few leopard skins that have lost their fur, and quite often they're just this uniform sort of tan color without that rosette on. But I've never seen a fresh leopard fur. In other words, I've never seen a shaved leopard. And so, difficult to answer your question. I can only draw it from my own experience. I've also only ever touched a live leopard once. It was a leopard that was darted, and a collar was fitted for a scientific purpose. And I stroked the leopard. I didn't think to open up its fur to see what color its skin was, unfortunately, Delilah. Sorry about that. But I would imagine it's just a uniform color, very similar to a lion's coat, or lion's skin, which is this sort of greyish color. You can see how camouflaged it is there, isn't it wonderful? Just their white chest sticking out, and that necklace of dots around the head. Really beautiful. A peaceful sighting. I mean, this leopard has got all the bush in the world you can see to hide away in, and we've just been very, very fortunate to have the sighting that we've had of one of the most elusive of the big, definitely the most elusive of the big five, which is a very difficult thing to see in most African parks, this being one of the best areas in the world to see leopard. He's lovely, eh? Just every now and again, something catching his attention. Leopard, he's looking very healthy. He's got a fairly full belly, not as full as what it can get. He's not empty, and you'll probably find that he could do with a meal. He won't say no to it, but he's not desperate for a meal at the moment.